Welcome to the Draft Brewery. Dr. Chris Baker DC here. Got a new deck tech for you for a slightly different version of the deck that I've been liking the most in this current standard pauper format. So today for SPDC 32 Worlds, the final event of the season, I decided to play a Temur grind as opposed to Sultai grind, where I mainly just thought the red removal options were a little bit better than the black. Black ones were a little clunky. Um, and one noticeable thing that I was finding in a mirror match especially is that complete disregard couldn't kill a monastery lore master if they had the mana to flip it right away. Whereas Touch of the Void can definitely kill it at all points in time. So you can basically exile it and get ahead on that loop by stopping their loop, so I like it in the mirror match. I also like it against aggro decks because we have these Fiery Impulse, Fire Conclusion mainly for like Gurmag Angler and things with greater than 3 toughness. Still got some Touches of the Void and whatnot. But Rolling Thunder is the big one too that can be a really good removal spell because it can 2 for 1 or better a lot of the times, or just dome them in the face. What else? Yeah, I mean, it's only playing green in the main and sideboard for Pulse and Visionary, which is just engine pieces to keep the cards flowing. We do have a couple of ways to sack our lore masters, or if our creatures should get hit with like a pacifism of some kind, we have 1 collateral damage, 1 fire conclusion, just to have 1 at each converted mana cost, and 1 Gurmag Drowner to help find important cards in our deck. A card that I originally started out with only 2, but that went up to 3. It's this Drawer Isle Avenger. 3/3 flyer is just pretty big in a world of Eldrazi Sky Spawner and Vulturous Aven and Ojutai's Summons. And so I liked Abomination of Gudul in the Sultai deck, which is still probably one of the best, but this card can come down a little bit more cheaply. The Abomination was really clunky because it cost 6 to get into play. So a common turn is, you play this out, eventually they kill it, and then the next turn you can usually pull some Rasa it back and then play it for 3 mana for a lot of value. The sideboard, I have slanted the deck to have a little bit less early game removal than usual, so I definitely want to make up for that fact with some instant speed and removal in particular, especially Twin Bolt and the rest of the Fiery Impulses, mainly because of the mono red aggro deck that I played last week. I could see people wanting to play that, and creatures with dash are especially good against the sorcery speed removal like Touch of the Void, so I need to change those out for instant speed removal potentially. So I got some of those, some Fire Conclusions against Gurmag Angler type decks, some Boiling Earth against token decks, Negates against control decks, Treasure Cruise decks, and counterspell decks. Disdainful Stroke against, again, things that are potentially delving, mainly the same control decks, but potentially like Hooting Mandrills and Gurmag Angler decks too. Sleep Away, again, Hooting Mandrills and Gurmag Angler aggro delve decks I like it against. Is it Prowess I like it against. Just any sort of aggro deck. Or decks that put pacifism or claustrophobia on our own creatures. Boulder Savo was a one of I wanted to try just to help kill the X4s of the format. There's, again, Hooting Mandrills, Student of Ojutai, etc. And 1 more Rune Processor if the game's going really late. I actually like this against Instant Prowess if they bring in Whirlwind Adept as well, since it can still trade with a Whirlwind Adept if it gets targeted with Temur Battle Rage. So yeah, so this is the deck. It's designed to go very late with Pulse Marasa and Monastery Lore Masters. The key interaction, flip this face down as a morph, hopefully have 6 more mana open, and just go off with Pulse, try to stay alive in the early game, and the late game of this deck is really good, especially as we get tons of mana into play. These Rolling Thunders can sometimes just get people out of nowhere. So we've got 4 rounds to bring you here. Got to buy in one of my rounds. But yeah, let's take a look at the deck in action.